All right, so here is our foundation to building better prompts. So we're going to use the TACOS acronym. It covers task, audience, context, output, and style. So what we're going to do today, we're just going to use this as an email, writing an email example. But the cool thing is this can be used for anything, honestly. Like as I was preparing for this, I was like, I cannot come up with a situation, especially in my role as a creative marketer, that I could not use this. And that's for image and content, so text, anything. If I need to do a LinkedIn post, if I need to do a blog, if I need to organize meeting notes, like all of this is going to be something that can be used um, for any needs. So I'm going to walk through it a little bit today and just see what the output gives us as we go through the different prompts. So we're going to start with a week prompt. And a week prompt is just like a week coffee order or a week fast food order or anything that is generic is how you can think of it. So write me a professional email. So this is going to give us probably what we're not going to be surprised by. Um, so here we go. So this is just a
I see you
template.
have I see you have thinking turned on there too,
Yes. Did I
which
not? Probably.
yep, that'll definitely help you out a lot. So like the instant, if you're getting really fast results and it's not kind of up to spec with what you're looking for, turning thinking on is going to make a world of a difference there too.
Yes. It does sometimes cause the work to be slower,
Mhm.
but because it is working slower, you can still get better results out of that. So that's a very good point. I usually tend to keep my thinking on, as I'd like for it to take a few more minutes just to give me a better output. So we can see just this basic prompt really gave us a template. It didn't really give us anything that we can use to begin with. It recognizes that this is not a complete email. So
Mhm.
even AI is saying like, hey, you got some room here that you need to improve. And it's leaving that open for you for interpretation. So if you needed something just real quick in a hurry, this will work, but not really anything that if a major project or proposal or a sales deal was relying on, this is not really something you want to send out for that purpose. So what we're going to do then is we're going to start with T. So we have our prompt, our week prompt. So T is going to be the task. So what do you want the AI to actually do? In this case, we are going to use write, but you can also use other words. So as I was saying, you can draft, you can organize, you can revise, you can edit. So any of those types of verbs that you want to use or tasks that you're trying to do is perfect for this. Um, so we're going to continue with the write prompts. We're now just going to add to it a little bit that tells it more detail about our task. So write a follow email respond. And with me and my chat, I typically am terrible about spelling errors. Um, Mine has learned to read through some of my gibberish, like this word right here. I normally would just keep going and not even worry about that. All
I
right,
find
so
myself shortening words. I use
oh.
a abbreviation.
It's so funny. I don't think I've ever actually had it come back and say, I don't understand what you're trying to tell me. So
Yeah.
thankfully it uses really good context clues sometimes to be able to pick up on what I'm trying to do. All right, so here we go. So this says now that we have a warm professional follow-up that does not feel too pushy. So we can read through it. I hope you're doing well. I wanted to follow up on the proposals. Now we're getting a little more specific. There's less things here that the AI is pointing out that you should personalize. So now we're getting a little bit better of a ready to go email, something that could be sent out as a final draft. All right, so for this purpose, I'm just going to copy this and we're just going to keep adding to it instead of having to retype it. So we're just going to keep building. Now, like I said earlier, this is something that as you're getting familiar with this exercise, you can certainly do this. You can certainly continue to build on it, but eventually you want to use this to write out your first prompt right from the gate. So you want to do this all at one time once you get the hang of it.
Gotcha.
All right, so now the A is audience. All right, so we have a professional email, but who are we talking to? In our business, we talk to a lot of different people. We talk to clients, we talk to prospects, we talk to front desk staff, we talk to CEOs, decision makers. And just like in any sort of real-time conversation, we're not going to talk to them the same way. Like we need to be able to ebb and flow depending on the audience. Same thing here with an email. So what we're going to do now is nail in that audience that we're speaking to. So for our first one, we're going to do two different ones here. So the
Okay.
client, let's start here with what it's got. The client is a mid-sized retail company. We have a relationship, so that's really important to include as well.
Mhm.
And this is going to show how bad I type. You're going to see how bad my spelling and my typing is.
You've
Um,
seen how bad mine is.
so I'm actually going to go in here and say the client is a manager of a, and then he is responsible for. All right, so let's see what this is going to give us. 4 seconds. It thought for 4 whole seconds.
Yep. I mean, and for the quality that it gives, I will give up 4 seconds because I'm going to spend another 4 seconds telling it to write something different. So
Yes, yes. I think it took me longer to write that prompt.
yeah,
All
yeah,
right, so let's
I
see.
do use, since I'm a Mac user, I use a lot of voice to text because it is natively built into Apple's Mac OS. There's another thing that I want to try on my computer that I have on my phone. It's called Whisper Flow, and
Oh,
it's an AI note taker that's really good at doing notes and emails and lists. So you basically just talk like you could give it a grocery list instead of it being a bunch of words in a paragraph. It would be
mhm.
listed out. So that might, using something like that might speed you up a little bit too.
Oh,
Pretty
yes.
free.
Yes. And you have the voice, the dictate command here.
Yeah.
You can also, so there's two different, so I don't know, Tristan, if you want to kind of talk to this a minute. So there's two different options for voice usually. So one of them, the dictate is actually like if you are voice to text is kind of
Mhm.
what you want. So that's where, if you want to speak into your phone and say, write me an email, that's your dictate.
Yep.
And then chat has the use voice option, and this is going to be more of a conversation between chat. This is where
Yep.
you're actually going to just speak to it as if you would speak to a coworker or a brainstorming partner. Um, it's going to take your words. It's also going to transcribe it, it's going to dictate it, but it's going to do a little more of a deeper thought and return of the response.
Right.
All right, so let's see what we have here. So let's see, we're checking in on the proposal that we sent over to see if you had a chance. I know things move quickly on your end, especially with merchandising schedules. So now it's taking that information that we gave it and it's plugging it back into this email. So now this is really starting to feel like something that is personal, something that you took memories from your own brain and you wrote down in an email to send to this client, just to nudge them for that proposal that you're still waiting to hear an answer from. What I want to do though for this one is let's, for the fun of it, since we were talking about different types of responses for different audiences, I'm going to go back and start here. And I'm just going to edit this a little bit and say this client is the of a retail company. Go here. So now let's just see what the difference is. So see, you can already say it's a polished version. Whereas this one is warmer. So since we're speaking to someone who may be on the same level as us, we're talking about now that's a manager at a retail store. So that's going to be a warm conversation. Now that you are speaking to someone who is likely higher um, in his job career, now you're getting a polished version. So you're using different tones and different types. This one here is a little longer, as you can see. And it touches on more things that are more important to a CEO who is scaling their business. So this is just an
Right.
example of how you can really change these prompts to fit whatever need you have.
Yeah, this is really good.
Yeah, it's an exciting step. So you want to encourage, be encouraging.
Hmm.
So here we go. So we talked about context a little early on and like a newer employee and training employees on context. This is kind of how when you think of context, the pro tip here is to imagine you're briefing a new employee on this task. So let's imagine, you're bringing in your
Hmm.
new intern and your intern now is tasked with following up with this client. What are you going to tell them about this client? Like, what are you going to say? Like, we spoke in his office at length. They were excited. They had a lot of questions. They got really hesitant when we mentioned financial um, commitments and
Right.
contracts. And they have honestly, you could even go so far as to be like, they have a 3-year-old. They're really in love with soccer. That's something that's important,
Yeah.
especially if you are actively working on building a relationship. So let's drop this in. I'm going to go back here to our manager. We're going to work with the manager today, and we're just going to add in these details. We sent the proposal 10 days. So it sounds like this client has basically ghosted us, which I'm sure never happens to anyone. I want to be pushy, but I need a response. This is going to give us the chance now we need to hear from them, like one way or the other. We just want to make sure, like, are you getting our emails? Like, what's
Yeah.
going on here? Like, now we're warm and confident with our follow up without feeling pressured. Grab this prompt as it's writing. It sounded like it could be a good fit, so I wanted to make sure it did not get buried in the middle of everything else on your plate. How often does that happen? I'm terrible for reading an email, knowing I need to respond,
Yep.
and it takes me 2 days because I just need to circle back to it. So sometimes it happens, sometimes they don't ghost you or go quiet for negative reasons.
Yeah. Yeah. I just get busy and a lot of stuff piles
Yeah.
up.
Yeah, so a follow up never hurts. So now, again, we're getting better. We're now pulling specifics from their meeting. So we're not just sending generic emails. We're not blanketing our responses to all of our clients who outstanding
Mhm.
proposals. We're really getting into the very specifics and personal details of a conversation that you two had together.
Right.
I really like this call to action here. Can you just send me a quick update too? Like, even if you need something else, just let me know. Let me know what my next steps are. Am I
Right.
bothering you for no reason? Are you going on vacation in 2 weeks? Like,
Yeah.
just give me a little something here to work off of. All right. So let's see. So that was our context. Now we're on to our output. This is where you can really have some fun if you wanted to, depending on what you're working on. So this is going to tell chat what you want your response to look like.
Mhm.
So if you're doing a document that may be an Excel spreadsheet, or if you're doing something for LinkedIn and you want more bullets, or you want something that is professional, or you want something funny or warm, or this is where you can go with that. Um, if not, it's going to just do it for you. It's going to assume, you know, it's going to
Yep.
take into consideration you're writing an email. So at this point, it's probably going to be a short email.
Mhm.
But if you needed something longer, if you were addressing something that needed to have a longer format of wording and you really needed to go into great detail, you need to tell it that.
Yep. Exactly right.
So let's see. So we're gonna let's paste this in here with what we have. So we're just continuing to build, adding each step. So let's say keep it to 3 short paragraphs. So I'm gonna go off a script here, and I'm gonna say, but add in 3 bullet points on why we would be a good fit. Just to see kind of just what it's going to give us. We'll just play with the formatting a little bit. We do want it to be, just can't see it yet. Single, clear, low pressure. All right, so let's see. Dun, dun, dun. I can't wait to see what these bullet points on the good fit.
There it goes. We had a little blip.
A little blip. Do I need to redo it or is it generating it?
You might need to redo it.
There we go. It looks like we're taking longer than 4 seconds to figure out why we're a good fit.
It's probably doing some research in the background as well.
Yes.
We're going to go find out a little bit more about us and what we're good at, and then
So you mentioned research. I guess let's take this opportunity to talk about that. So like, where is it going to do research? If you want to expand on that a little bit, like when you
it'll
say
go
it's
to
going,
Wikipedia. It's whatever I think whatever they have it integrated with. So ChatGPT specifically can see Reddit, it can see Wikipedia. I think it can go through Google as well. Um, they have quite an extensive list of research indexes that they use or knowledge indexes that they use. Um, once the AI gets on a website like Wikipedia, for example, it'll follow a link and look at that link and see how relevant the information is. How true it is, or if it can determine it's true or not. Which is why it says ChatGPT can make mistakes because not everything on the internet's true. So if it finds something that's not really a reliable piece of information, and it's not fully vetted out, it may return that information. It's gotten better over time. I've definitely seen that. But yeah, like it'll go through Google, it'll go through Wikipedia, a lot of credible knowledge sources, and then kind of just spider from there,
mhm.
like do its own little upcrawl.
Yeah, I actually, so one thing that I like to give out as a tip when I'm doing research myself, I actually like to prompt it to go to Reddit. And the reason for that is that Reddit, if you're not familiar with that website, it's an open forum. So you're going to have opinions, you're going to have questions, you're going to have conversations between real people. So it's not just articles that are optimized for the correct answers to say the right things. You're going to have a real conversation that may or may not be pleasant, but it can sometimes find you that little bit of information like what are the hot topics? Like what are the biggest complaints? What are the biggest questions being asked? So that's just kind of my pro tip is that if you're looking for some sort of market research, Reddit is a really good place to point it to.
Definitely.
So I'm impatient, so I'm gonna stop it. And then I think I wonder if I should reload it. Let's see. Oh goodness. All right, let's see if I save that. It did. Look at that.
Perfect.
Look at that. All right, so I'm gonna switch it to instant just to see if that makes a difference. There we go. Wow, look at there. We really got some information in that.
Yeah.
Keeping operations running smoothly. We focus on responsive, relationship-driven support.
Mhm.
We take a proactive approach, helping clients solve problems before they come to disruption. So that sounds all super familiar to us. Um, because of what chat has done is it has used its memory and it's used our history together. So as the marketing coordinator for Earning IT, I spent a lot of time crafting our message. And coincidentally enough, this is our message. We talk a lot about our response time, our proactive approach, our relationship driven. So it's taking the things that you have worked with it in the past and it's building off of that. Now, ChatGPT, not to get in too deep, does offer memories, and they do offer where you can go in and you can feed it memories and give it specific things that you want it to repeat. So once you got to get the hang of your prompting and you're ready to take that next step, then you can go in and say, all right, here are our core values. Here are the things that set us apart. Here are the sound bites that we use all the time and the wording and the specific phrases that we want to repeat through our messaging. And so it gets smarter and then it begins to give you these answers that are more personalized towards your company as well as now personalized to who you're talking to.
Definitely. And you can feed documents into it as well. Take this
Yes.
document. This is a, document that describes our business. Take this
Mhm.
and save it to your memory, and it can do that.
Yes. Yes. I do all kinds of things. Once I have blog posts that I like, I will take several of them, dump them into a Word document, and then put it into chat and say, this is the voice, this is the tone,
Yep.
these are the words, this is how I want you to repeat this task going forward. So that again is another way to save you some time. It can be a little more advanced if you're just learning AI and ChatGPT, but with time, it's pretty easy to master. All right, so let's keep going. So we already really have a pretty dialed in email at this point. Um, One last thing you do want to check and you want to read over is the style and the tone. And this is important because every person has their own style and tone. So the way I speak versus the way that Tristan speaks versus the way that Barrett speaks is all different. So in my position, if I'm writing a message, it typically comes from Barrett's voice. There are times, though, where I will write something that comes from Earney IT's voice, which is a different voice of the company of a whole. And then if I'm writing something on my personal LinkedIn or my personal email, I'm going to sound different than the CEO of our company. So these are things you just kind of change as you need. Sometimes if it's just you and you are the sole person that are writing the messages, you may not need to change it much, especially once it learns your style. All right, so let's take it in. We're gonna just keep going with what we got with the bullet points. We'll leave all that good stuff in there. Um, we'll say, and you can write as a sentence or how this one starts out as kind of a list. This one just says tone, warm, and confident.
Yep. It'll just take whatever you give it, and it adapts to the way that anybody speaks, which is pretty awesome.
Yeah, and not robotic. And actually, it's kind of important to tell it not to sound robotic, not to sound like AI. And I do this all the time with mine. Don't sound generic. Don't sound like AI. I need you to sound like you have a personality. So this one does say a little personality is welcome.
Yep.
Ooh, do not. And I like the pro tip here that we have to use comparisons. So actually, I'm going to add in that this email should be written in the tone of a trusted IT, or let's say a trusted tech advisor. Um, so you can go in here and add kind of anything professional but approachable,
Mhm.
like a colleague, not a salesperson. I sometimes will say like you're talking to a friend and not a coworker, just depending on what I'm doing. Um, so this really it's endless here, and you can go as long you're not penalized for adding too much. So you can go on as long as you want to with these prompts to make sure
Yeah.
you get it the way you want it. So let's see here. See how not like a robot sounds. Feels like a real person checking in after a good conversation. So as you can see here, these bullet points
Hmm.
got a little less choppy.
Yep.
These are very choppy, very generic, very
Very
um
we.
yes, yes.
Yeah.
And so now this one um still kind of we focused, but it's added, I don't want to say fluff, but it's just softened it a little bit. It's softened up the sentence and the structure. And
Yeah.
now it is a little more of like you're still having that conversation. And you're like, hey, man, we understand retail moves fast. And we focus on the long-term relationships. So now it's kind of asking like when you get a chance, could you just let me know where it stands? So now it's like a warmer, like, no hurry. Just let me
Right.
know when you get the chance. Um, so now after going through all of these prompts, this is the prompts had I stuck to the script that you would have. Um, and this is the email that you would have here. So at this
Yep.
point, you're really only now coming in and you may be editing one or two things. So as Tristan pointed out, I personally would probably go in here and just reword this just a little bit and say, I don't really, and you know what? Honestly, let's do it here. Let's say, I
Yeah.
don't
You can click on it
like,
actually in
oh,
there. I think you can edit these emails as well. So like in
oh,
the actual ChatGPT window,
oh yeah, look at there. Okay.
you have editing skills.
Yeah. So because of the way it's rounded out here, but
Yep.
this gives you like a thing.
Yeah,
So
that would
we
be
can,
a canvas.
so you can say our company understands.
And you can actually take start like if you take that whole bullet point and you highlight it, you can ask for changes just just there. So like where it says ask for changes, if you click on that, you can ask something specific without having to rewrite the entire email.
Sometimes I'm a little bossy to my
Yeah, sometimes you just gotta get it done.
sometimes you just gotta tell it what to do. Okay, so here we go. Retail moves fast. A focus on building long-term relationships. So I would want to read this together, and just for the sake of time, I'm not going to go through it, but you can see how it gave you different options. So
Yep.
since it gave you different options, you do want to make sure that it flows from your intro sentence down to your bullet points and then into your closing. But let's accept these changes. Now here you are, here's your email. And then we mentioned the canvas. So this is the canvas here in this little box. And you have two options. You have a copy, so this will copy the text for you, and you can paste it into Gmail, Outlook, Hotmail, whatever you may be using. But if you also have your Outlook set up correctly, you can just click this button and it's going to populate that in your client. So it's going to already open this up now in an email.
Yep.
You can't see it on my screen, but my Outlook opened and it's getting ready now to put that into the body. And now all I have to do is put the to, who it's to.
Yep.
Um, so really, you're done. And you can even make your changes inside that email if you want, if that was more comfortable for you.
Mhm.
Um, so yeah, so here is our long prompt here, that we built together. So you can see that's a drastic change from where we started with just write me a professional email. And this is probably one of the shorter prompts I think I've ever seen.
Yeah. It's good though. I mean,
Hmm.
sometimes you don't need a three paragraph prompt to
Right.
do something
But
like this. So
right. But sometimes you do, and that's fine too. So, like I said, you don't get penalized by chat or Claude or anything by
mm,
having long prompts. Um, so whatever it takes to get your message across. But this is a good, solid prompt that covers all of these 5 points here in this acronym for tacos.
mhm.
And if you continue to do this, then you can save yourself time by repeating the prompt rather than having to rebuild the email every time you starting over from scratch. Yeah. So I think that sums us up. Now I'm hungry.
Yep. Yeah, thank you, Crystal. This is a really good presentation you put together.
Thank you.
It's definitely super important to have a framework, to work off of. On my side of things, I know we do a lot of the AI business maturity model stuff, and that's can sometimes be super complicated or used for making applications. I think having this framework here to be able to work in something like ChatGPT or Claude or even Gemini, will help a lot of users kind of take that next step into using AI to be more efficient. So yeah, definitely appreciate the amount of time you poured into this, and
Yeah.
it looks really good.
Yeah, thanks. And I do want to say this will be available on our website for download. So anyone that wants this guide to sort of begin prompt crafting, we will make that available for free. So feel free to reach out to me too. I'll include my email um, inside of this in case you had questions for me or Tristan. You can reach out to us directly and we'll be glad to help you.
Awesome.
Awesome. All right. Well, another successful office hour.
Yep. All right, cool.
All right.
Bye.
Thanks. Bye.